Overtime. Sponsored by Wendy's. They got you for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and everything in between. High school sports, we've got it covered. Overtime starts now.
Hello and welcome to Overtime, our weekly look at high school sports in the state line. I'm Scott Leber.
And I'm David Greenberg. We have 30 minutes full of high school sports coverage for you. We'll show you some Durand-Pecatonica football players who have helped transform DuPec's cross-country program into a winner. We'll also get to know Guilford tennis player Casey Auckett.
In our Glory Days segment, we look back at the 2014 state champion Forreston Cardinals football team, plus week 9 of our Battle of the Stadiums contest. First, we look back at a big week in all of fall sports. Normally, high school golf teams would have been battling for trips to state this week. Instead, with no state tournaments scheduled, they were playing for sectional championships and pride.
Yeah, the girls' Class 2A sectional at West Dundee on Monday had both Harlem and Rockford Co-op in the field. The weather didn't look this nice the whole day, just for a bit at the end. These were the elements the golfers played in. Cold and rainy. Harlem's Brighton Young teed off here on the 12th hole. She splish-splashed her way to the green and tapped that putt in for par. Let's check in with Rockford sophomore Kayla Silin as she tees off at the 11th. Shortly after that shot, the weather went from bad to worse, and the players had to take a short break in the action. Once the storms rolled through, the sun came out, and both Young and Silin turned it on with their putters. Here's a long one from Silin to give herself an easy tap-in for par. She finished with a round of 79. That tied her for 6th. With no state tournament, this was Young's final golf shot as a Harlem Husky here. And she buries it. She closed her high school career out with a birdie and a round of 78 to tie for 4th place. She reflected on the improvement Harlem's golf program has made.
Honestly, to see the improvement from my sophomore year to senior year with the team is really huge. Starting off, we weren't really noticeable. We weren't doing very well, but as we progressed, we did get a lot better, and people started actually, knowing who Harlem was for golf, and it was pretty exciting.
The girls' 1A golf sectional took place Tuesday in Rock Falls. What a great view of the Rock River there. Boylan's Ella Greenberg won her regional last week. She got off to a rougher start than she would have liked, but finished the final 2 holes 2 under. Her round of 77 was good for 4th place. Next up is Rochelle's Megan Thiravong. A bad end to the round to the front 9 cost her a possible individual win, but she still managed to finish 3rd with a round of 76. To the 18th green, where the younger Greenberg, Eva, left herself this short putt for an eagle. She buries that one. That putt helped her tie for 1st place, setting up a playoff. In the playoff, she plays this par 4 to perfection. Greenberg finishes with a par to beat out Macomb's Lily Vardaman, so Eva Greenberg, a freshman, wins the sectional and helps the Boylan Titans win the team championship. She discussed her clutch eagle after the win.
At first, I just hit it, and then I thought it was going to be short, and then it started rolling, and I thought it was going to go over. But then once I got it there, I was like, oh, it's really close. And then I thought I was going to miss the putt.
The last of the sectional golf tournaments involving our area high schools was played Thursday at Montecito. The boys' 3A sectional. Hononegah's Cade Bastian here is going to drop a par putt on the 2nd hole. He shot an 88, and Hononegah finished 7th as a team. Harlem's Zach Burfoot with a chip also on the 2nd hole. Not too bad. Burfoot shot an 85, and that tied him for 32nd place. DeKalb's Brett Peglow had a solid 10th place showing. Here he is. He shot a 77. Lucas Grawl was Guilford's top golfer. He shot an 85, and Guilford finished in 8th place as a team. How about Auburn's Alex Ferry here next on the 17th green? He did not like it when it left his putter, but there is nothing wrong with that. That's a birdie. Ferry shot an 89. Lake Forest and Barrington were the 2 top teams. There were no local teams in the 2A boys sectional in Freeport Wednesday, but some local individuals did well. Boylan sophomore Cooper Watt took 2nd place with a 74. Stillman Valley's Tim Markin finished 4th with a 77, and Boylan's Nolan Braun finished 8th with a 79.
The Nick 10 girls tennis tournament played out last Saturday with the finals matches over at Harlem High School. In the girls' top doubles, it was Auburn and Hononegah, the Indians, showing off some crafty shot placement here. But in the end, they were no match for the power serving of Auburn's Amy Park and Paris Thompson. The Auburn duo won 6-4, 6-love. The match that everyone wanted to see was the #1 girls single final between Auburn's Boleyn Nievenhoven and Guilford's Casey Auckett. There wasn't much Casey could do here. She was simply overpowered by Boleyn's talent. Watch this crazy moment. The serve from Boleyn was so hard that it snapped the net strap. There wasn't much to do except, laugh about it and just switch courts. Nieuwenhoven won the match 6-love and 6-1. She is now a 4-time champion. The Auburn Knights have won their NIC 10 team championship with a perfect conference record. Normally, NIC 10 swim teams would be gearing up for a conference meet, but there isn't one this year.
So the conference championship, or at least a share of it, was on the line Tuesday. Guilford and Hononegah met in a dual meet. Both teams came in 7-0 in conference meets, tied for first. We pick it up with a 100 butterfly. Elena Kitzman of Hononegah held off teammate Brooke Dagford for the win. In the 100-yard freestyle, Guilford's Michaela Durkin took this one, with Hononegah's Gracie Colvin finishing second. In the marathon 500 freestyle, Katie Jensen was up to the challenge for Guilford, taking first. Next, it's the 100 individual medley. Ella Gasparini holds off Kitzman in a hard-fought win. The 100-yard backstroke was claimed by Gracie Colvin of Hononegah, with Michaela Durkin of Guilford taking second. In the 100 breaststroke, it's Ella Gasparini swimming with a heavy heart, but swimming great, picking up another win. Hononegah led by 4 points going into the final swim event, the 50-yard butterfly. Kitzman nailed this one down, and her Hononegah teammate Natalie Marr took second to sew up the meet for the Indians. There was still the diving event to go. Guilford's Marissa Enke claimed that. But the meet goes to Hononegah, 106-101. The next day, Wednesday, the Indians completed a perfect regular season by defeating Boylan to win their first ever conference championship in girls swimming.
Coming up, we'll check out some of your school spirit photos. Plus, who knew that football players could make great cross-country runners? They found that out at Durand-Pecatonica.
And later, we'll take you back to the day Forreston's football team broke through and won the school's first state championship. You're watching Overtime. Welcome back. Let's check out some more school spirit photos.
One of our favorite segments of the show. Our first photo is Winnebago basketball standout Mia Brown. We're looking forward to seeing her play again this winter.
And this next photo is a Lena Winslow track and field relay team from a couple years back. Ravi and Valentine and Isaiah Bruce there are in the middle.
We go back to 1974 for this one. That's Rockford East tennis player Cindy Thomas. You gotta love those old photos.
Well, we want to see your school spirit photos. They can be from any era and any sport.
Email those to sports@fox39.com and be sure to include your name and a brief description of the photo. We've all had to adapt to changes in our lives this year.
Some Durand-Pecatonica football players have taken up distance running with the DuPec cross-country team, and they're making a big impact. Last fall, DuPec put together its best football season since the two schools formed a co-op. The Rivermen went 7-4 and reached the second round of the playoffs before losing to Byron. Playing key roles on that football team were Trey Burfield-Stifter, Liam Hammond, Tyler Cormitzi, and Drake Forreston. Their expectations were they'd be helping DuPec football do even bigger things this fall. Instead, they're helping DuPec's cross-country team achieve success like never before.
These kids, they just run with a lot of heart, and they get along with their teammates, and it's just amazing to see them do this.
Recently, DuPec had a perfect week, winning meets at Genoa and Eastland, and a meet at the Fuller Forest Preserve that also included Winnebago, Rockford Lutheran, and Stockton. One of those football players led the way in that meet for DuPec. Hammond finished in third place overall. This is his second year running cross-country. He competed in both cross-country and football last fall. So did Cormitzi.
We went to football Monday through Friday, and then played our games Friday. Then Saturday morning, we'd come and run for cross-country meets.
So this year, Hammond recruited two more of his football teammates, Burfield-Stifter and Forreston, to come out for cross-country.
I was a little convincing. At first, they were like, I was like, come on, football's not in the fall. Might as well just come do it. And they're out here doing great with us.
What really made me decide to do cross-country is that it's going to help with football in the long run, because football got pushed to the spring, so I decided might as well do cross-country to work on stamina and endurance for the football season.
I wasn't going to do it for a while, and then Liam convinced me to do it. I was going to be only in golf, but then Liam convinced me to do it, and now I love it.
Forreston and Burfield-Stifter also compete in track in the spring. They specialize in the 400 and relays, not distance running. So like most people who take up distance running for the first time, they had to learn how to pace themselves.
Before this, I never knew how to pace. I've always just been 100% everywhere I've went. And this is just so different.
I told them, I was like, hey guys, it's nothing like the sprints you're used to, because they both run track. They was like, this is nothing like the sprints you're used to. They're like, oh yeah, for sure. Then first practice, here they go, they just take off right away. And it's like, told you.
Has there been any point this cross-country season where you've said to yourself, what did I get myself into? What am I doing? Maybe I shouldn't do this.
Every practice and every meet, I always think, I'm like, why did I end up doing this? This is crazy. I'm not good at this. But then I always end up realizing this is only going to help me in the long run. And plus, I have good teammates who are there to support me.
It turns out Burfield Stifter was very good at cross country. In that meet at Fuller Forest Preserve, he finished in 5th place overall as DuPec's #2 runner. Forreston had a strong 10th place finish. Combine that with Hammond's 3rd place finish, that put 3 DuPec football players in the top 10.
The myth is, they're a football player, they can't run. But I don't consider them football players. I consider them athletes.
Did you think you would do this well so soon?
No, I had no idea I was going to do this good.
The football players on the team have had to make some adjustments to keep up with their football contact days and conditioning. But they have the full support from their head football coach, Tyler Hoffman.
He was the one who actually came to me and said, we just found out we don't have a football season. I don't know how big your roster is, but would it be all right if some of your guys joined? And I said, absolutely.
He really supports us through it. Like, he understands that, like, today there was a football and cross-country conflict. He's like, you know what, guys, go run cross-country. Like, you have a meet today. So he's super nice having two coaches, like, on both ends that support us.
Some of the other runners on DuPec's cross-country team are Jaden Gocken, Braden Winnagel, Antonio Suarez, and Evan Folk.
It's great to see those cross-country and football programs working together. Everybody benefits. Coming up shortly, it's week 9 in our Battle of the Stadiums competition.
And next in our Glory Days segment, we turn the clock back to 2014, the year the Forreston Cardinals made school history. Forreston High School has 3 state championship trophies in its trophy case, all of them earned in the last 7 years. The first one came in 2014. That's the one we focus on now in our Glory Days segment. It was a huge Forreston crowd that made the long trip to Champaign for the 1A championship game. It was a cold day. The temperature was 27 degrees at kickoff with a brisk wind blowing. But the chill in the distance weren't about to stop Forreston fans from being a part of this day. They had waited too long for a state championship team. The Cardinals came in with a 13-1 record. Their opponent, Carrollton, was 13-0. Carrollton had an outstanding quarterback in Jacob Smith. He had passed for more than 2,400 yards and 25 touchdowns. Forreston was ready, though, with its ground game and its stingy defense. In the second quarter, the Cardinals gave the ball to Aaron Shelton, who dove into the end zone to cap up a 10-yard run. The Cardinals had a 6-0 lead. Just before halftime, Spencer Kruthis powered in for a touchdown. The Cardinals led 14-7 at the break. In the third quarter, defensive end Kendall Kuehling made a big play, leaping and snatching a pass out of the air for an interception. With just over 4 minutes to play in the third quarter, quarterback Robert DeVries kept the football and scored a 4-yard touchdown and put the Cardinals up 20-7. Carrollton answered with a touchdown and a conversion later that quarter to make it 20-15. The fourth quarter was a tense, scoreless standoff. The clock couldn't tick down fast enough for Forreston fans, but it finally did. The Cardinals had a 20-15 win and that much-anticipated first state championship. Joining us now on the phone is the quarterback of that Forreston team, Robert DeVries. Robert, 2014 was the first time any of you guys had played at state. You were used to playing at the smaller stadiums in the Northwest Upstate Illini, and then you were at Memorial Stadium, which holds 60,000. Were you guys a little bit in awe of that environment?
I have to say yes. Without a doubt, we had never played on turf before. So, put into perspective, playing in a stadium like that, I remember that first drive, I was so nervous. I think I fumbled on the first drive. Thankfully, we didn't lose it, but, I know everyone was a little taken back, and, our crowd was huge because no one had ever been there before. So it was a really, really great atmosphere and great experience.
You mentioned the Forreston crowd. Were you aware of the cheering and the noise they made during the game, or were you so locked in on the game you didn't even notice it?
The one thing about Forreston, and I'd say the whole NUIC, is they travel well. The fan support is crazy, so you're going to have fans backing you. So we knew they were there, but, it was cold that day. I just remember it being so cold and so focused on the game that, it was loud, but we were more focused on the game than anything.
In that championship game, you had success personally running the football. You rushed for 143 yards. Did you see something on the films in Carrollton's defense that led you to believe you could have success running the ball on them?
I got a lot of credit growing up and getting the ball, but those guys up front did a great job. Also, Spencer Cruthis that day had a great running game as well. Luckily, I got my number called a lot, and there were great big holes and stuff. There was a great Carrollton football team, but, we did see some advantages of running the heavy double tight end set with me running the ball, allowing another guy out front to create some big holes. But, Aiden Carr, Brady Bronkema, Dylan Hensley, E.J. Blatter, Nick Wilson, Jacob Cunningham, those guys all deserve more credit than they ever got, because I was the pretty guy running the football, getting to score all the touchdowns, but they did a great job.
What play or moment during the game or during the pregame stands out in your mind?
Before the game, I don't know if you ever saw we had a highlight video and it showed the recording. They came out to the field early and wrote Hawks Rule on the football field so that we could see it in warm-ups. And, we didn't really need any more motivation, but it kind of gave us a little bit more motivation. And, Coach Diddick and Coach Zick always had us ready to go with the speech, and past player would always write a letter as well. So we were wired and ready to go. And, that little bit of motivation, I think, really drove us to come out and start hitting right away.
Our thanks to Robert DeVries for joining us to reflect on that great Forreston team. DeVries now works as an assistant basketball coach at his college alma mater, Quincy University. Coming up next, David Greenberg helps us get to know Guilford tennis player Casey Alcott. Right now, it's time for our overtime trivia question. Before the football state championship games were played at the current locations of Memorial Stadium in Champaign and at Husky Stadium in DeKalb, what other two stadiums were they played in? Well, the answer after the break.
Once again, here's our overtime trivia question. Before the football state championship games were played at the current locations of Memorial Stadium in Champaign and at Husky Stadium in DeKalb, what other two stadiums were they played in?
The answer is Hancock Stadium at Illinois State and Dyke Stadium at Northwestern. This was a solid season on the tennis courts for the Guilford Vikings.
Yeah, they were led by senior Casey Alcott. She finished second in the conference at #1 singles. This week, I caught up with her for our Getting to Know You segment.
Should be good, right? You see both of us?
I like reptiles.
Reptiles? What kind of reptiles?
Crested geckos, mainly.
Cool. Do you have a gecko?
No.
Have you ever had one?
No.
Do you have any pets now?
I have 3 dogs.
3 dogs? What kind of dogs?
We have 2 greyhounds and a golden retriever puppy.
Wow, so big dogs.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do they take up a lot of energy? Like they always running around and barking?
Not the greyhounds. They're pretty low energy.
Really?
But the golden retriever is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. What are their names?
Maya, Zeppelin, and Booger.
Maya, Zeppelin, and Booger. I love that. Those are great names.
I like to read.
You like to read? What are your favorite books?
I just like fantasy books mostly.
Fantasy books?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite author?
Not really.
Okay. What kind of fantasy type of stories?
Like high fantasy, like dragons and stuff like that.
Cool. Have you ever seen Game of Thrones?
No.
No? Okay, that's like dragons and stuff.
Probably like an astronaut or something like that. But not anymore.
No? No? Why an astronaut?
I just like space.
You like space?
Yeah.
That's really cool. What do you want to be now? Do you know?
Something along the lines of ecology or botany, I think.
Cool. So something involving like science?
Yeah.
Is that your favorite subject in school?
Yes.
Which science in particular?
I like biology.
Bio?
Mostly. Yeah.
Cool, cool. Why do you like bio?
It's just fun. It's
fun.
Easier than chemistry. So.
Yep, I agree with that, definitely.
Good stuff there. Well, we are 8 weeks into our Battle of the Stadiums contest. It's our quest to find your favorite football stadium in the state line.
Last week in a big northern battle, Stillman Valley defeated Rockford Lutheran, getting 74% of the votes. And in a matchup of the area stadiums, Rochelle received 69% of the vote to defeat South Beloit. 348 votes were cast. Our thanks to all of you who voted.
And this week we begin the semifinal round in all 4 conferences. Here are the contestants. Vote for your favorites by going to our website, mystateline.com. Look for the Battle of the Stadiums tab or image.
Next week, we'll have the other semifinal pairings. We'll be right back.
Be sure to join us each Friday night at 11 o'clock on Fox 39 for Overtime. You can also catch the rebroadcast Sunday mornings at 9 on Fox 39. Thanks for joining us.
Enjoy your weekend, everybody.
Overtime. Sponsored by Wendy's. They got you for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and everything in between.